Hi guys, welcome to the Fighters channel. What to expect from Usyk in a fight with Anthony Joshua? Alexander is well aware of Anthony's size, and Usyk faces an extremely difficult task. On the one hand, he should try to pull the Briton apart and not give him the middle of the ring, because in this case he will have to actively move along the ropes and spend a lot of effort of these departures. On the other hand, under no circumstance should Alexander fall forward and fly into close range, because even a few extended blows by Joshua on defense can seriously weaken Briton. The rematch will be an attempt for the Ukrainian to find a balance and try to work in rare series to earn cherished points. Of course, he will be aiming for a knockout, but he will not begin to activate before the 5-7 round. Usyk's chances of winning. If Alexander can control Joshua's lunges and, like a bullfighter, make him fall forward, deftly leaving the line of attack, then he will have a chance to exhaust the puncher. But even a tired Joshua will be 10 times more dangerous than the sluggish and slow Chisora. Now Usyk should show its maximum and not a percentage less. Its technical base is quite enough to hit Joshua and earn points. That's just not worth counting on a knockout. This is a secondary task, which is in any case cannot be realized without a competent game plan at the beginning of the battle, as well as a serious reserve of endurance and patience. Now the chances of Usyk can be estimated as 45 to 55%. Friends, before starting to watch this video, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my channel. If you really enjoy the content, then please subscribe to my channel and keep watching the videos. If you are subscribed, then receive notifications about the release of new videos. You do not even have to look for anything personally. I really want to get 10,000 subscribers on my channel. I'm trying very hard absolutely every day, and I need your support. Your likes, comments, reposts to social networks. Thanks to everyone who subscribes to my channel. You are my support. Thank you so much. Predictions for the Joshua-Usyk fight. Grigory Drost. For me, this fight looks like 50-50. Although still, there may be a preponderance in Joshua's direction for some reason, but I absolutely do not rule out Alexander's victory. Functionally, he will be ready for 2 fights at once. So if Usyk wins, it definitely won't be a sensation for me. Alexander reminds me of Evander Holyfield now. He was once not given any chances in the heavyweight division, but in the end, he proved that a cruiser can win belts. The Chisora. If you want to be the first pound-for-pound number, you will fight with everyone. I have no doubt that Joshua will knock out Usyk, but that won't be a walkthrough. Anthony is waiting for a long night. Joshua is too big and strong. Of course, Usyk is smart. He is a great boxer, but I think he doesn't have the size to beat a guy like Anthony Joshua. Let's not forget what Joshua was like in the second fight with Ruiz. He was smarter, calmer, and looked just fine. I would like him to defeat Usyk in some way. Artur Beterbiev. Joshua will beat Usyk because he is a real heavyweight. What happened in the first fight with Ruiz is just an underestimation. I just didn't tune into it. They took him to the fight at the last moment, because Anthony's opponent challenged several times. So I don't advise you to evaluate Joshua's potential based on these loss. Ricky Hatton. Everyone is always talking about Anthony's power, but personally I see that he has not bombarded rivals for a long time, as before. And this is his plus. He became smarter, showed his boxing abilities, thanks to which he won the Olympic gold medal. He began to think a little more. In addition to boxing skills, he has dimensions and striking power. Of course, in a fight with Usyk, he will have to sleep, throw several serious obstacles in the way. But in the end, he will win. However, such a victory definitely cannot be called easy. Vasily Lomachenko. Usyk has an excellent chance of success. It will be a very interesting fight. I constantly hear that Joshua is significantly bigger and stronger. So what? But Alexander is much faster. So we are waiting for a cool battle of 2 different styles. Dillian Whyte. This duel doesn't make any sense. Now Usyk looks extremely doubtful. Remember all his fights in the heavyweight division. He was terrible, and these fights. Okay, he moves great on his feet, but he doesn't have any power. So there is no point in his speed in our division. He's definitely not going to win. And Michael Hunter. I think that Usyk will be Joshua on points. and it will be a very boring fight. Alexander looks much better in terms of boxing and tactical play. At the same time, Joshua has just begun to comprehend the basics of top boxing, so he will not be able to beat Usyk yet. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel.